Good morning, my friends. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm excited to, as always, spend a little time with you. I can't believe it's September already. Can you? How is that even possible? How is that possible? I have convinced myself, though, that we have 3 weeks left of summer, that it's not really fall. We have 3 weeks left, and I'm going to squeeze every front porch moment, sunshine moment, flower moment out I can over the next few weeks before I give in to the fact that we're moving into a different time of year. I'm delighted to have this time with you, and I'm teaching a different look at spiritual leadership today. And when I sat with it, I really had to think, because what I'm teaching about at the core is living who you are as a leader versus how we lead, and what it means in your business when you are the leadership rather than doing the leadership. And I know that we all spend time learning about that when we're going through seminary, when we're in our first year, when we're in our second year, when we're in our third year. As we go forward in ministry, we're constantly learning how to be who we're talking to other people about being. But I don't think we get a real look at what it means to be who we say we should be, who we teach other people to be in the business realm. We learn how to do it based on our spiritual teachings, but I don't think we apply it very often in the day-to-day business. And I think over time, we learn a lot about how to do it. And for most of us, it's an on again, off again thing, that it's not something we necessarily give our real focus to. So I want to invite you as we begin today, if you're not already doing this, I want to invite you to consider the spiritual aspect of what you do as a minister a spiritual practice. And that's a different way of looking at it, because it's kind of the other thing we do. Our business is kind of that other thing that we do that has to be done. But we like speaking, and we like pastoral counseling, and we like teaching classes, and we got into ministry because of that. And this business piece is part that comes along with the job for most of us. And several of us have some business backgrounds, so it's kind of fun to be able to still use the wisdom that we have from other things that we've done. But to consider the business of your day-to-day interaction as a minister an active, ongoing spiritual practice is a different way of moving through it. And that's what I want to invite you into today. So let's just jump in. All right. So I'm always, as I'm putting slides together, I'm always thinking about what is the best symbology for what can I use that is a good symbol for this particular topic. And what I chose for this particular topic is the river, is to remember that we are the river, and we are moving through our ministry in lots of different ways. But I invite you to just place yourself in that metaphor right now, to consider that you are a river moving through your ministry, and that people relate to that river in a lot of different ways. So we're going to talk today about being the message and about aligning your spiritual integrity with your ministry success from a business point of view. I really am going to change that slide. Why don't you? There we go. Okay. So leadership in the business of ministry is many things. Sometimes it's smooth water. Sometimes it's bumpy. Sometimes you have to get out and pick up your boat and walk it because either you've run out of water or you are on the rocks. You are both a spiritual organization and a business organization. And we kind of take it that way. We kind of look at it as those two things. I'm inviting you to make it one, to really consciously make your spiritual work one, to really consider how you can deepen the walk you're doing already as a minister. And we know we have lots of eyes on us all the time. So we know that, most of us are very aware of being in integrity, living what we teach, all of that. And sometimes it's difficult in the ministry field. The health of your ministry will align with your health as a minister, not just how you speak in front of everybody, but what happens behind closed doors. Because behind closed doors, we set a subtle undercurrent. You could think of it as an undercurrent in the river that you are. There is an undercurrent of what's going on in your life, an undercurrent of how you're feeling about being a minister, how you feel about people in your ministry, how you feel about staff that you work with, how you feel about how ministry blends into your personal life. There is an undercurrent that it lives inside of you that you likely talk about with very few people, because we're doing a particular job, aren't we? So we don't always tell everybody how we feel. We choose very carefully who we're willing to talk to. Hold on just 1 minute. Just realized that I am teaching and my window is open and I have 3 people standing outside my window. So I was just closing the window. So, good example, right? Not everything is for everyone's ears. This job is not one that we can share for lots of reasons. And it's difficult for a lot of people to understand what this job requires of us. So I want to invite you to notice the undercurrent in your own life right now. Is there one? What is it? If you had to give it a name, what is the undercurrent going on for you? The current on the top is nice and healthy. The water's moving great. Things are happening. It's wonderful. Check in on your undercurrent. What's down underneath that? Are you carrying any level of frustration, irritability? What are you holding? And do you have a way of processing it? Do you do something with it, whatever that is? Just for your awareness, notice if you have an undercurrent, because your undercurrent, since you are the vision keeper and the vision holder for your ministry, your undercurrent does have an impact. So it's important to know what it is. Sometimes it's an appropriate undercurrent, and sometimes it's something entirely different. We are asked to be what we teach, to not just live from it, but what we're teaching on such a broad scale is to be Christ consciousness in life, to live as Christ consciousness. How does that impact what you do as a minister? Because your level of authenticity has an impact on who's attached and who's attracted. People trust authenticity. They may not always like it, but they trust it. And you guys have said it yourself. Sometimes we say about people, I don't always like what she says, but I know I can trust her to tell me the truth, right? Sometimes it's important to question how much of what our community sees is an image we want them to see, and how much is our humanness. How much is our ability to say sometimes it's hard. It's not always easy to be the person that you want to be. Our congregations follow a living example in the same way that children in a family follow a living example. It's important to notice how you're living and what example you're offering. And one of the ways that I'd invite you to look at that is to ask yourself how often you're smiling when you're not speaking and in front of people. How often do the people who work with you get to see your smile? How often do the people who work with you become the place where when something's wrong, they're part of that? Is it in balance that they get to see your smile and what's going on with you at the same time? Now, do they get to see both of those pieces? Because there is a need for that. There's a need to ask yourself if you can be happy or not. Sorry, very distracted by all the people. So, integrity is your greatest strategy. Integrity means that your smile has truth behind it. That your smile isn't always a smile. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're not happy. Where are you in that? Because the other thing that happens when we work really hard to be that face in the front that always has it under control, it's always good. The other thing that happens is the people that work closest to us, and those can be volunteers and staff members, don't get a chance to see how we use the tools that we have because we don't appear to need them. And there is sometimes a belief that as long as I show that everything's good, it's all good. What are you worried about? Everything's good. We got this. Well, yeah. And life for most people is not like that. Most times people have difficulties in their lives and they have worries and they have concerns. And being able to be present to those as a minister is a really important thing. We have tools that we use to help them. And letting them know that those tools are authentic, because sometimes it's not perfect for you, is a really important thing to look at. So when you are misaligned, you are on the road to burnout. Misalignment meaning I'm holding everything for everybody. It's on my back. I'm carrying it. I put it in the backpack behind me so I don't have to look at it. I'm doing all these business things that have to be done. Our money isn't quite where it needs to be. Maybe I'm not completely satisfied with everyone who's working for me. But I'm going to keep on going and keep on moving through it. And I'll let that little undercurrent be there, but I won't let it stop me. I'm going to keep going. So the smaller things don't get addressed. The burr under your saddle, right? It's there, but it's not as big as other things, so we don't get to it. Those are the things that end up having people around you feel like something isn't quite on track. Something doesn't feel quite right. Not sure what it is, but maybe there's something going on with me and that person. I'm not sure. So holding all of that causes burnout for you, causes exhaustion for you. The little frustrations. It's rarely the big frustrations that get us. It's the little frustrations that we keep putting off and show up month after month after month after month that begin to take their toll on us. Is there any little something that you've been putting off? And you may or may not think about it right now. It might show up in your email this week. It might show up in a Sunday process. It might show up in your fellowship hall, but I want you to look for it. What is that little thing that you think, oh, I wish that was different, but I'm not going to do anything about it right now? Pay attention to that. That's an undercurrent. Look at it and ask yourself if it can be corrected with a little bit of effort so that you don't have it over and over and over picking at you, poking at you, causing you less satisfaction. Mixed messages sometimes confuse donors and board members. That's a really important thing too. is there a place? And I ask these questions because all of you here are experienced. Everyone who's watching today is experienced. If you're a new minister watching this as a recording, some of this may not be as familiar to you. But everyone who is live in the room today, you're experienced ministers. You can answer these questions for yourself because you have done this for a while now. Are you giving mixed messages to your donors about what money is needed and how money is used? It's a question. What do you really need? Sometimes prioritizing those donations makes a difference, prioritizing the question we're asking. We need help here, or we need help here. Can you help with this, or can you help with that? Board members especially get a mixed message from us. I'll give you an example. My board members get a mixed message from me about my bookkeeper. I absolutely adore my bookkeeper, and she's really inconsistent in a lot of ways. So they're getting a mixed message. They know I don't want to trade out the bookkeeper. I trust her. I have strong trust, and I have a need to get more time with her to get some of those undercurrent things taken care of. Some of those little things that don't quite get done the way I need them done. So that can give a mixed message to my board. Where are you giving a mixed message? Is there a place in your communication? Because misalignment causes a fracture in trust. It affects how they trust you and what they rely on, how they rely on you. Embodied leadership is really what we're talking about. And I want to, sorry, I've got someone coming in the room with no name. I'm not going to let them in right now because I don't have time to process that. There's a difference between acting like a leader and embodying leadership, right? There's a difference between holding yourself sovereign or holding yourself subject to everything that's happening around you. And in one of the places that I think we have to look at the message that we have with our communities is when we talk about mission-based ministry and minister-based ministry. Because minister-based ministry is very much about sovereignty. This is the way I want it done. This is the way we're going to do it. Mission-based ministry often feels like the minister should not have an opinion. This should happen. Everything should line up solely with whatever the mission is. But a lot of our missions are vague enough that that's not easy to apply. So being able to ask yourself, am I living from the ministry? Am I living from the mission does not take away your sovereignty. Living from the mission should put you into sovereignty, into a place of, let's talk about sovereignty for a minute. Let's talk about if you have your queenship or your kingship, you are in service to the community. You are in service to the people who you have agreed to lead. You are in service to the people who you've agreed to lead, and you are the leader. So in a mission-based environment, you are leading by embodying whatever the mission is. Whatever it is you say you're doing has to be part of how you do everything. Not just what you call in when you have to make a choice, but how you do everything that you do. How you care for your building, how you care for your staff, how you care for volunteers, how you interact in pastoral counseling, how you do all of that. If you are wanting to lead from mission, you have to embody that in everything you do to be in full integrity. Look at your mission statement and ask yourself if, first of all, is it possible to do that? Because some mission statements are really vague. And if it's not possible because it's so vague, vague would be, we are bringing everyone to their full spiritual expression with no question about how we're doing that. What are the hows? How does that happen? If you don't have those hows, it's difficult to tell whether you're living in an embodied way or not. So I'm going to invite you to consider these things. Again, in an experienced room of ministers, you are the best judge of what you're doing. And for whatever reason, we kind of move through day to day without considering whether we're fully integrated in the work that we're doing, whether we're doing it from the whole body, from our feet down on the ground to the top of our head, or if it's mostly our head and our heart that are engaged. So who are you as your brand? If unity is love-based, not fear-based, are you that? If unity is the belief that we are all God expressions, are you that? Do you see yourself that way? Do you operate from that? Do you move amongst your community that way? Do you consider being the hands and heart of the holy in all the things that you have to do? Or only when you're up on the platform and having to talk about it? That's the kind of question I'm asking. Our brand is soft and solid. Our brand is historic. Our brand is a little bit heretical, isn't it? It sees outside the box. Our brand is inclusive and accepting. Our brand is welcoming and transparent. Are you those things as a leader? Because your daily presence brings all of that to the surface with everyone who's working with you. Oneness is an important piece of what we teach. Oneness requires collaboration. How collaborative are you? As a leader, do you know how to bring everyone in to collaborate? Because you're demonstrating oneness when you do that. Even when we ask opinions of the people who we know have the strongest opinion and maybe the opinion that is the most in conflict with us, right? That opinion is still part of the oneness. How does it integrate with what you're feeling, with what's being felt by other people around you? Conscious financial stewardship relies on the law of mind action. It relies on that. Do you integrate that in your conversations with your board, with your volunteers, with the people who serve on Sunday morning, with your ushers when they're collecting? Or is it integrated in the words that you speak when people come up to make a contribution, to take a quote or whatever it is that you're giving them? Ask yourself. Policies, budget, staff culture, all of those have to align with our principles. All of them. So taking the time to look at your business through the lens of principle, we know we're supposed to demonstrate it with our board. Do we demonstrate it in the way that we interact with our staff? Do we speak to it in the way that we interact with our staff? Questions to ask. And sometimes I think too, when you've been a minister for a while, revisiting this is really important because we fall out of habit. We start out with really good intentions to do these things and we fall out of habit. So the invitation here is not to be in judgment of yourself, but just to question. Am I still doing these things? Am I doing them well? Can I improve them? Where can I improve them? Where have I lost myself in the practice here? Decision-making is rooted in prayerful discernment. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times the decisions I have to make have to be made right now. I don't have time to say, sorry, stop. I'm going to go walk outside and do a little prayerful discernment. A lot of times the decisions have to be made right away. So what would happen if your morning entrance at the office was prayerful? if you stepped into the office and took the time to really prayerfully enter this sacred space for yourself and for your community. We do it with our board meetings, don't we? We pray our people in, or someone prays our people in. We pray in all kinds of things. But do you pray yourself in to your beginning of your day, so that as you make decisions, you're making them in a way that brings the best of you through and to all of the work that you do? That's a relatively simple way of making your business a spiritual practice. To start in a sacred way. Light a candle if you can. Some of our churches you can't. Light a candle, take a moment, do an anointing with some oil, breathe something that is uplifting for you. Create a sacred way of entering your day, so that you know you've already called the holy into your heart and into your body, and where you're working from is clear. Transparent stewardship as a financial stewardship as a spiritual practice means being able to talk about where you are in not just a practical way, but in a holy way as well. So one of the ways that shows up is when you go into your giving in your Sunday service. How are you approaching your giving? We have words that we say in certain practices that we do, but where are we with our permission giving for somebody in the community who maybe doesn't have money to give? Do we speak to that? Do we offer anything into the options that are available? If your car broke down this week and you can't give in the way that we give, which is to give from gratitude, because right now you're feeling afraid or you're feeling nervous, then don't give today. Do what you need to do for yourself. That's okay. And as soon as that's done, you'll be able to give from a place of gratitude, because your life will feel plentiful. Because your car is running, your refrigerator is full, you have what you need. When that happens, step forward. It'll freak your board out a little bit, I promise you. Your board will go, wait, you just told people they don't have to give today. As ministers, if we're embodying all of the things that we believe, then there is enough. There is enough. And people who are not in the position to live, to give out of gratitude, are not the only options we have. But helping them to abundantly care for themselves and feel like their life their life needs are satisfied could allow them that morning to walk out of your community feeling really good about taking care of themselves and feeling the gifts of spirit coming through them, so they can fix their car. They can do whatever they have to do, and they don't have to leave feeling guilty. It's a different way of being transparent. We're really transparent about what we need and what we've got. But we're sometimes not really transparent about life needs, and about the fact that we know some of you are here uncomfortable when it comes to this time of service. We don't want you to be uncomfortable. Take a deep breath. If you can give with gratitude, you can make a difference here. If you can't give with gratitude today because what you really need is to take care of yourself, take care of yourself. Do that. Spirit is that abundant. We have what we need. We are a generous, kind, caring, loving community. Treating your team as sacred partners rather than staff is an important thing to consider. If you just change the words, it will change you. If you just change the words. So there's a difference between the pyramid perspective of here's the board over me, and then here's me, and then here's my staff. Or a circular perspective, a round table perspective that says my job is to make decisions. Your job is to give input. My job is to move us through a plan. Your job is to tell me how the plan is working and to make suggestions to improve the plan. We all have a job around the table. One job is not any more important than the other. all of these jobs are important. How you answer the phone makes a really big difference in the kind of experience that our people have in our community. How the phone is answered makes a big difference. The attitude of the music team makes a really big difference. What the undercurrent is for your fellowship team. How do I stretch this meal to make sure that everybody gets a little bit of something and I don't have to work too hard? What's the undercurrent with them? All of that sacred partnership makes a difference in what you do. And your congregation, if you are modeling conscious communication and accountability, they will learn how to do it. And that's the other invitation that I have for you is what happens when you make a mistake? What does accountability look like for you? Where is your ability to say, I probably didn't handle that the best way possible. So I had to do this in my own community a couple of weeks ago because I was in a hurry to move something through. And I set up 3 meetings, one town hall to talk about finance, one town hall to talk about heart, and a voting meeting. And I did it all at once because we were going to move through this and get it done. And it freaked out my community because they didn't have time to feel into what was happening. All they saw was, we're voting. Oh my gosh, we have to do this fast. We're voting. And there was a little bit of that urgency in me when I was moving it along. And after hearing some of the feedback from the community, I was able to, on a Sunday morning, say, hey, you know what? We're not going to vote on that day. We're going to do a straw poll so we can get a feel for where you are at that point, and then we'll decide where to go next. But I was in a hurry and I rushed you guys, and that was mine. And we don't have to do it that way. We can slow down. Where is there graceful accountability with your whole community so that they can see we all make mistakes. Things happen for all of us. Your presence is your business currency. It's the thing they want from you more than they want anything else. They're not going to ask you how much you give to the church. They're not going to ask you what kind of training you're doing. They're not going to ask you what your relationship is with Unity Worldwide Ministries or the region. They're going to want you to be there, to just be there. We've talked about how sometimes people walk in the door of your office and they say, I know you're busy, but... So in the best way, if we were able to be our best minister, nobody would have to feel like we were too busy for them. And in business, this is a really important thing to consider. If you are so busy doing what you do that the people you really care to serve have to start their sentence with, I know you're busy, but... then they are seeing something in you that is causing them to pull back from their relationship with you instead of lean into it. And we do it because there's so many things to do. But presence is your currency. Presence is the most important thing you give to your community. So if your time is so full that you can't give that, now is a really good time to look at that. To ask yourself what can be offloaded. Can anything be offloaded to someone else? Because you having free time coming into your office and being calm enough to have some free time in your office to read a new book, to have a conversation that is loving and getting to know someone, to make a phone call to somebody who's sick, to check in on a team leader, that stuff really matters from you because it's you. Anybody else can do it. But when you have the time to do it, and it's you who speaks into that, it changes the experience that people have of you. because they get what they know is your most precious commodity, which is time. So when we live into what it is that we're doing, what it is that we're doing as ministers, what we believe about being the hands and the heart of the holy, when we make our work a spiritual practice, we take time to be present the same way we do in meditation, the same way we do in prayer. We bring ourselves fully into the moment. And working too much, too hard, doing too many things as a minister allows you to surf on the top of the river rather than being the river that people can sit by and observe and enjoy and interact with. Because you are now the rushing torrent, not the beauty of the river. And I know that that's hard to hear because there is a lot for us to do. But this is a piece to explain to your board. Presence is the gift you bring to your community. Presence is embodiment. To be the living hands, heart, and movement of the holy is different than doing it. And sharing that with your board is valuable so that they can understand that your job is to make that phone call. Hey, Mary, I heard you were under the weather. I'm just checking in on you. How you feeling? You doing okay? Just want to know that you're okay. And if not, just want to hear that you're not and listen. That one phone call will keep a person in your community for the next 10 years because they feel loved and cared about and seen by the minister. It's not that we couldn't have a prayer team do it. It's not that we couldn't have a chaplain do it. It's not that somebody else couldn't do it. It's that it's you, and presence is your currency. Some of the challenges that we face are balancing the financial picture with our spiritual ideals. That's a tough one, right? Avoiding being in CEO mode because it feels good to be in CEO mode. It feels powerful and moving and accomplished to be in CEO mode, getting things done. But embodying ourselves as the gentleness, the love, the holiness, rather than the business professional in the business part of what we do really makes a difference. Managing conflict with love and clarity rather than logic and clarity. With love and clarity. The what would love do comment, really valuable in the hardest business moments. What would love do right now? Because it's different being ministers. It's different being in spiritual business. It's not the same as the business out in the rest of the world. You as a minister have a voice and an ability to communicate with people that gets heard differently because of who you are, because of how they know you. Am I modeling fiscal responsibility in my personal and ministerial life? I believe we all do our very best at that. It's part of our ethical agreement. Does my leadership inspire confidence in my board and congregation? Does my leadership inspire confidence in them? Do they feel confident being who they are? That's a different question than, do they have confidence in me? Does my leadership inspire confidence in my board and congregation? Do they feel confident in who they are as part of our community in their respective roles? Where can I more fully embody what I ask my community to practice? That's really the thing I want you to be asking yourself. Where can I more fully embody this? So here are some very practical next steps. First, the one I mentioned earlier, open your day, your desk, your space, your office with prayerful discernment. Wherever it is you are working, Sometimes we're at home, sometimes we're in the office, sometimes we're in the fellowship hall, wherever it is. Enter that space in a prayerful way. You're about to do some really important work. Enter in a prayerful way for you before you pray for everybody else. Do some prayerful and discernment here. Adopt one new embodied practice that strengthens both your spiritual integrity and your business leadership. An embodied practice can be simply being present for 5 minutes to a conversation and giving it your full attention, instead of being in your head thinking, as soon as I get done with this, I have to be ready for that. To really give yourself an opportunity to be present. Share openly with your board and staff how you're practicing what you're doing. Let them know so that they can be supportive of you, because allowing your staff to be supportive of you is it's like the way we help nonprofits. So in our community, we help nonprofits, not just because nonprofits need help, but we help nonprofits because it helps our community to be empowered to make a difference in the world. When our community can collect food, collect shoes, collect backpacks, whatever it is, they feel empowered to make a difference in the world. They know they did something. When you allow your staff to support you in something, you empower them. You give them a sense that they can contribute something to you, that what they're doing for you and with you makes a difference. And some things we just have to know. Sometimes we need to know for ourselves that we made a difference. We don't need everyone else to tell us. We need to have actually done the thing that makes a difference so that we know that we did, because it changes our personal value. So allowing them to know what you're working on can be helpful. Sharing what you're doing can be helpful. If you're doing prayerful discernment as part of your business practice and you're setting your day every day, you can invite your staff into that same practice. How would it change things if your entire staff began their day with prayerful discernment, with some moment of inviting the holy to work through them through the day, with some awareness of who they really are? And then notice how the alignment affects morale, affects your giving, affects your growth. Do it as an experiment with your staff. Let's start every day prayerfully for the next 30 days and see what we notice. Do it in whatever way you want. If you do it in whatever prayerful way you want. But take 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes when you start your day. And as you come into your day, sit down and just meditate at your desk for 5 minutes before you start your day. Just be in the stillness. How would that change it for them? How would it change it for you? How would it change how you work the whole day? You won't know unless you do that work together, unless you ask, unless you invite them in to participate. When I am the message, my ministry grows. When I am the message, my ministry grows. Not when I do the message, but when I am the message I'm giving. Integrity fuels trust, trust fuels participation, participation fuels growth. So we look at a lot of things when we think about what grows our ministries. We look at the money that we have coming in and what else we can do to generate funds. We look at how we build trust by how we live into our bylaws, by how we put the principles forth, by how we create communication. We create opportunities and we enlist people to get engaged with what we're doing. And what if behind all of that, the thing that is slowing you down is you? What if behind all of that, the thing that's slowing you down is your ability to just embody for yourself, being Christ consciousness in all of the different ways that you move through the business of your community? What if that would make a difference? Lots of questions today because this is interior work. This is not, here's the way you put your budget on paper. These are interior questions. And some of them you'll say, yeah, I'm doing really great on that. And some of them you'll say, oh, well, I could do a little bit more of this, or maybe I could do that, or maybe that prayerful thing, yeah, maybe that would work. Maybe you said, I have my altar, I'm doing that. Is my staff doing that? These are questions for you to give contemplation to. And you have two opportunities ahead of you. One is to walk out of this space and say, okay, interesting stuff. What do I have to do now? And another is to slow down. You're going to have about 10 minutes of the normal time that we block for one another when we get done today. And my invitation to you is that you take those 10 minutes and a piece of paper and you ask yourself the real question: how am I embodying Christ consciousness in the business of this church? And what is one practice that I can engage in that might make a difference? And I say might make a difference because you're not going to know until you do it. Might make a difference in how you feel, might make a difference in how somebody else feels, might make a difference. So I'm going to invite you. I'm going to thank you for being here. I'm going to tell you I love you, because I do. I'm always so deeply gifted by your time, because I know presence is the thing that we have to offer, and you have to make choices every day. What you do with your time means the world to me that you are here. It is a great gift, and I appreciate you. I appreciate the good and powerful work that you do in the world and how important it is and how it changes things for people. If we just look at the few of us on the screen and say, there's 5, 6 people. If you are touching 50 people a piece, and you're touching way more than that, then what a tremendous difference is being made in the world by what you do. So I just want to say thank you for your good work in the world. And thank you for giving me a little bit of your time. And I hope that in your self-exploration on this topic, that you find something that becomes a meaningful practice, that it shifts just a tiny bit how you look at the kind of day-to-day stuff that you do, and that it moves you in a way that is closer to your heart and to your deep spiritual core. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. I'll see you soon. Bye.